Hey, hey, hey! So today we are doing another book review, but this is actually a kind of a special book review because this is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I try and read it a couple of times around every year around Christmas time. I don't think I read it last year, but I love reading it around. It's like a Christmas romance, and I love it. So the book is called The Unlikely Romance of Kate Bjorkman by Louise Plummer. And let's go ahead and read the back. It says, "Hi, I'm Kate Bjorkman, and if you're reading this, I must have gotten published. If you're turned off by anything with romance in the title, don't be. I don't like romance novels myself. They're full of 3-paragraph kisses describing people's tongues and spittle. Give me a break. They make me want to put my finger down my throat and induce projectile vomiting. But what do you do if you've lived a real romance with a great-looking guy, Richard, and he loves you as much as you love him? I know what I did. I wrote this romance novel about myself. I used the romance writer's phrase book as my guide. I also used all the stuff that Mr. Midgley, my English teacher from last year, taught me about writing. He said there has to be a conflict in a story. No problem. My life was one big conflict last Christmas. I didn't have to make anything up. Everything in here is the honest truth, and I want truth, even in romance. I'm betting you'll want the same." So, first off, I started reading this book maybe 15 years ago. More than that. Let's see when it was even published, because I was not, I don't think, in high school, 1995. So yeah, I read it probably in high school. Because I was definitely not, I didn't read it like when it very came out. But I am not in high school anymore. I'm much older now, but I still freaking love this book. It still gives me all the little tingly winglies, that you read you get from a good romance novel that give you like the anticipation and like the butterflies in your stomach. It's such a romantic book, and there's no sex in this book. There is kisses hinted at and touching, but like not like sexual touching, just touching each other. And it's kind of, I guess it's that it's hinted at more than overly stated. But I really like this romance novel. It's one of my favorites. I have multiple copies of this. I just bought this one a couple months ago because I wanted to read this book. And I have like 1, 2, 3 copies somewhere. And I didn't want to look for my other one, so I just bought it because it was like less than $10 on Amazon. So there is that. So this book is about this girl, Kate Bjorkman, and she's a senior in high school. She's 17 years old. And her older brother is Bjorn Bjorkman. Yes, that's his name is Bjorn Bjorkman. This is obviously happening in December around Christmas time. And her older brother is maybe 4 or 5 years older than her. And he had gotten married the summer before, in June or July, I don't remember. But they got married in Maui, I think it was. Him and his bride, Trish, who is 2 years older than him. But, let's see. And they are currently in Palo Alto. So him and his wife are currently in Palo Alto. So there's her and then her brother who just got married. He's like 4 or 5 years older than her. And her parents. And her brother's best friend, Richard, who is around his age, I would guess. And then their collective friend, Fleur. Okay. So what happens is she and her parents are getting ready to celebrate Christmas by themselves because they think Bjorn and Trish are in Palo Alto. Richard is not really a concern. He's probably spending it with his family, like whatever, right? He's part of the family, but he's not part of the family. And so they're getting ready to do that. And Kate runs out to go get some cinnamon sticks for her mother's Russian tea that she makes every Christmas. Can't find any, but on her way back from the store, she notices that something's different about her house, and she notices like a weird car out in front, and she's like, "What's going on?" She walks in, and there's her brother and her new sister-in-law. And because they had heard that it snowed, they were like, "No, we have to go." So apparently Richard, who was in California, I guess, and maybe they were all in California, or well, Bjorn and they thought they were in Palo Alto. So they must have flown to California because they all drove up in Richard's car, which you don't find out till like almost the very end of the book. But anyway, so they're there with Richard, the best friend, and their friend Fleur, who they met, I guess, in a class. And they came to surprise them for Christmas, and obviously her parents are like really happy, and she's just like starstruck because this Richard is 4 or 5 years older than her, and older brother's best friend. I think I didn't have an older brother, but I had older cousins, and I definitely had crushes on their friends, like definitely. So definitely, can relate to that. But they spend the whole, I don't know how far ahead of Christmas they get there, maybe a couple of days. And she ends up rooming with Fleur, and the impression is that Fleur is Richard's girlfriend, but that turns out not to be the case. Kate is, she's kind of all upset about this. She has this best friend named Ashley who shows up, and she's going out with this guy named Kirk, right, from their class. But she also is kind of a hoe, and she says that she likes Richard. And so Kate's like, can you just back off? Like, I really like him. Can you just back off and like help me lure him? And Ashley's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you do that. First, you need to take, okay. Kate is 6 feet tall, and she wears Coke bottle thick glasses, like thick glasses. She can't see without them. So the first thing Ashley tells her to do is take her glasses off, because you're not going to attract a man wearing glasses. And you look much better without your glasses. And that was my entire teen years, was trying to figure out how to live life without my glasses. Now, I'm not completely blind without glasses because I'm not wearing glasses right now. But, I can't see as well as when I do have my glasses on. But she tells her to do this. She puts a little bit of makeup on her face. She puts lip gloss on her. She basically makes her over and, makes her into somebody that she's not, essentially. And says she's going to help her get Richard, even though she still tries to sidle up to him and, tries to win him over. And then later on, Kate is like, I'm mad at you because you did this. And Ashley's like, well, what can I say? Like, you don't have a chance with him. Like, he's just not your type, or you're just not his type. She's like, I've been in love with him for so long, and he's so mature. He's so much different. You understand, right? You understand. And, I don't claim her. Her name is Ashley. I don't claim her. Okay. As speaking for all the Ashleys, we don't claim her. All right. Not all of us are hoes. All right. I think that any woman that reads this, you probably know somebody like her, and maybe she's a friend. Maybe she was a friend. Maybe she's a friend of a friend. Maybe she's just a girl, somebody like her who kind of flits from boy to boy, and she's very, very appearance focused. And she's very manipulative and will steamroll over you to get what she wants. She cares only about herself, basically. And they go, and Bjorn makes a big deal because they get there, and because it was just the three of them, her mom got just like a tiny little Christmas tree, like one of those little, like maybe 1 foot, right? 12-inch trees that you would put like on basically, I don't know, something you would have like in a hospital. It goes on like a little side table, not like a 6-foot tree, but maybe just like a little one. And he throws a big fit, so he demands that they go out and get a tree. And so they go out to do all this, and she, Kate's the whole time, she's kind of like observing, she's picking up little details here and there. And they, there is this really funny scene where her parents go out, and after they've gotten the tree, and they're set to decorate it, and her parents went out, and Richard and Fleur tell her, like, we're your parents now. And Fleur's like, okay, but I get to be the dad. And Richard's like, obviously she got her looks from me, her mother. And it's really hilarious. Like, this book is full of like cute little jokes like that. Like, there's no like vulgarity, anything like that, even though there is one scene where they talk about when Kate was 13, she was playing tennis at a neighbor's house. And they went to turn on the tennis, like the ball retractor, the ball shooter, whatever it is. And it hadn't been used in a long time. So they went to turn it on, and like these baby mice started flooding out of it. Like apparently there was like a nest in there or something. And so they started coming out of it. She freaks out. and starts like hitting them with her tennis racket, and they were like flying at her, and she caught one in her tennis racket and she was like smashing it. And Richard makes some comment and she like whacks him with her tennis racket, and she was telling this to Fleur and she goes, you know, would you not have hit him, or, you know, would you have hit him? And Fleur's like, I would have hit him with my car. And it's just, you know, there's like really super funny moments like that. It's a very endearing romance. There's the character Fleur is the troubled kid. She basically went home with Richard and Bjorn for Christmas because she wanted to meet Bjorn's parents, his family, and she wanted to spend Christmas with them and have like a perfect Christmas, because she's never had that. And she goes on to explain later on that her mom is getting married for the 6th time on New Year's Eve, and her father is just about to divorce his 3rd wife, and the reason for that divorce is because she threw a blender at his head and split his head open. And she, you know, she's like, I don't know anybody whose parents were together until they were adults. She's like, I don't know anybody like that. And it's kind of, you really see like the sadder part of it. You know, Kate's thinking that her life is so like melancholy, and she has her issues too, but it kind of makes her think like, you know, my parents are still very much in love with each other. They're together. You know, my older brother is, you know, with his wife, and it just gives her a new perspective on things and her life, and things that she thinks might be challenging maybe aren't as much. And it's really sad to read that, because I think we all, if you weren't that kid, you had a friend that maybe was going through that, and their parents got divorced or weren't together or couldn't get along. And I mean, it's hard, you know, it's hard to see them go through it and not be able to do anything other than just like be there for them. You know, you can't fix it. You can't force their parents to be together. But, you know, there's cute little scenes like when Bjorn and his wife are fighting and like screaming in the house, and Kate's parents are out, and she goes downstairs because she wants to get away from the fighting. And Richard is down there, and they have like these little moments together like that. Or like when they do Christmas and they're drinking this Russian tea and they say Merry Christmas to each other, apparently by kissing like on the lips. And he kisses her and she's like out of her mind, right? And there's little sneak moments in there about them. And I think it's very, very romantic, and it's very, very cute. And when I read this the first time, of course, you're just like, I want a romance like that, right? And now, as an adult, as a grown-up, you have a different perspective on it. I mean, it's still cute, you know? I don't want to say you read this and you realize that you don't have a romance like that, or that you still want one. I think some of us, especially if you're married, maybe you have a romance like that. But it's endearing because when I first read it to reading it now, you pick up on different things in the book. And I think that that's really, really cool. I think the book is very well written. It is written from like Kate's perspective, and it's written from the perspective of, this is a true story. This is what happened to me. And she's writing it. So she's very like, and she writes in the book, like she's writing this and this is what actually happened. And she goes in and there's a couple chapters where she does like revision notes, where she's like things she might want to change and things she doesn't like about the story. I really like that about this book. I feel like some romance novels are so incredibly cheesy and predictable. And, you can almost like, they're just like Christmas movies on Hallmark, you know what's going to happen. You can almost predict who's going to end up with who and what's going to happen and these kind of things. But this book, it was a different spin on it. Like, having the romance writer's phrase book as she uses. I don't know if that's a real book or not. It made me kind of want to read it because, if I'm going to write a romance, it might have some good stuff in there for me. The book is not terribly long. It's about 13 chapters plus an epilogue. I don't want to ruin the book for you, but I wouldn't say I'm ruining it for you, because her and Richard do eventually get together. And that's why she's writing this novel, is because it happened at Christmas time. And of course her friend Ashley betrays her and does something utterly utterly disgusting. Especially when she knows that Kate likes Richard. And I think that some of us have experienced that. Some of us have liked somebody that we told our friend about, and then our friend ended up dating or kissing or, you know, approaching and like flirting with, even though they knew that you liked them. And it's a different level of betrayal and hurt. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that much, I think, in life, because if you were meant to be with that person, I mean, I firmly believe if you're meant to be with them, you know, it'll happen. But as a teenager, that shit does hurt. And so yeah, that happens. Her aunt, she has an aunt named Eve, and she throws a New Year's Eve party. There's just like little interesting things like this. But it's very entertaining to watch her mother and father. Like there's one scene where when they're doing the Merry Christmas and they're like cheers everybody, you know, cheersing their drinks and stuff, where Trish and Fleur each kiss her dad on one cheek at the same time, and her dad like blushes, and she's like describes his ears as turning like bright red, and her mom just kind of like smiles at him and stuff. And I'm, you know, you think about that now, like when you're young, you think about that and you're like, oh, that's cute, whatever. And then when you're married and you think about how you would feel if your spouse did that, and it's kind of like, would I be that chill about it? Would I be like, oh, he's just enjoying the attention? It makes him feel young. It makes him feel, I mean, you know, would you really, because I got to think about that today, and it was like, I don't know. But Richard flirts with her mom too. So it's not just her dad that's getting flirted with. Like Richard does like compliment her mother and you know, talks her up and things like that. So I have to say, this is a very, very good Christmas book. I don't care how old you are, you will probably like this. This book is perfectly safe for young kids to read, even like 12, 13. I don't think less than that. I don't think you'll understand, you know, romance and liking people, you know. I just don't think you would understand the concept of the book and some of the things in the book. But there's no vulgarity, there's no cursing, there's no graphic anything in here. This is, you know, it's a cute little romantic book. It's a cute little romantic book. I mean, I could go on and on about like all the little scenes, but honestly, I would just be telling you the whole story. But instead, what you need to do is go find this book somewhere, like on Amazon or Thrift Books, and go buy it for yourself. Because it says US $7.99, $8.99 in Canada. It was about that on Amazon, like honestly. And I've not read any other books by Louise Plummer, at least I don't think I have, but. And the cover is because they go ice skating. They're one of those families, you know, they have a big tree, they have a big to-do, her mom actually delivers like potted tulips to their neighbors every Christmas, and that's kind of a Christmas tradition that her mom does. She does this Russian tea that she makes. You know, they live in St. Paul, Minnesota, so it's a very snowy area, and they very much have a lot of Christmas traditions. And maybe if your family didn't have that, this book might especially be endearing for you, because growing up, like my family had traditions, but we don't live in Minnesota, and we don't always have snow on Christmas. And, you know, some traditions, but like not all of them. And it's just very endearing to read about the family going and doing all of that stuff, and maybe living vicariously through the characters in this book. But I'm going to give this book a 5 out of 5. And I think we knew that was coming, because I freaking love this book. I will read it again and again and again. I've read it once, and I am almost through reading it again, because I love reading this book. And I'm probably going to make my husband read this book. I can't say enough about this book. Go find it. Go read it. If you go to your library, it might be at your library, like in the young adult section, because it is, I would say, I mean, she's 17 years old. I would say it's maybe aimed at 15 to 17-year-olds. I don't know. I still enjoy it. I still love this book, and I don't read a whole lot of young adult. Like, I'm not afraid to read young adult. It's just not, it's not something I gravitate towards. But this book grabbed me years ago, and ever since, I love reading it. It really puts me in like a Christmas mood. This is kind of like, you know, you have Christmas movies that you read. This is a Christmas book for me. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Let me know if you've ever read this book. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, let me know all of your thoughts, comments down in the comments below. Like this video if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video, because you never know what kind of content is going to pop up over here on this channel. I thank y'all so much for watching. I love y'all very, very much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!